press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hello dear children. Today let's continue the remaining part of the lesson, the concert. Before going to that, let's have a short look at the previous class. Okay. The concert, this present lesson, it is written by Shanta Rameshwar Rao. The lesson is a true story. It was based on the real life incident, means which was actually happened in the real life. This lesson, it tells us about one boy named Anant, and he was 15-year-old who was suffering from a deadly disease called cancer. And his sister Smita, she is 16-year-old, and how she struggles to fulfill her brother's wish. The concert means, as I have already told, concert means musical performance, Sangeeta Kacheri. Anand, he was 15-year-old and he was very good in each and every activity. We can say him as a multi-talented boy because he was very good in the sports. He was the best table tennis player, the fastest runner, and he was very good in music. And he and his sister Smita both used to go to the sitar classes, and Anant, he was already able to compose his own tunes to the surprise of his guru. Even his teacher was really very surprised looking at the skill of Anant. He was really very multi-talented. He was good in every activity. He was better than Smita in each and every activity. But unfortunately, Anant, at his tender age, he was suffering from the cancer, and he was already at the final stage of the cancer, and he was bedridden. And because of this, entire family of Anant, Smita, Anant's father and mother, they left their native place, Gaganpur. Their native place is Gaganpur, and they moved to Bombay to get the better medication. They had high hopes in the miracles of modern science. They had a hope in the modern science. Our Anant will be better if we go to the Bombay, then we will get the good medication and he will get well soon. Keeping this high hope, they moved to Bombay and they were staying in Aunt Sushila's house. And the doctors in that Bombay hospital, they also nodded their head, saying that we can't do anything because Anant, he was already at the final stage of cancer. We can't do anything. Take him home, give him whatever he likes, allow him to do the things, whatever makes him to feel really very happy. And the parents along with Smita, the family members, they pretended near him. They laughed and they told him that you will get you will be very well, you will be cured very soon. So in this time, one morning in that apartment, they were staying in Aunt Sushila's apartment. In that apartment, in one fine morning, Smita reads the newspaper and she comes to know that Pandit Ravishankar and Ustad Allah Rakaiya, these are the great musicians, an Indian musician. And he comes to know, looking at the newspaper. Who comes to know here? Smita. She comes to know. Smita, she looks at the newspaper and she was very excited to know about the concert of Pandit Ravishankar. So she used to scream, she shouted loudly. So tomorrow at Shanmukananda auditorium, Pandit Ravishankar is going to play. And Anant, who was lying on the bed, he was very surprised and he felt very happy to listen to that Pandit Ravishankar's concert. So he was very happy and he tried to get up himself and he said, Pandit Ravishankar. So I had a dream. I have a dream to listen to his concert, and it is the chance of a lifetime because Smita and Anand, they both dreamt together. They had a dream to listen to the concert of Pandit Ravishankar, so that Anand, who was lying on the bed, breathing the oxygen from the cylinder, he was surprised and he said loudly, Pandit Ravishankar. Then mother, she made Smita to be quiet and Here Anant asked to go to the concert, but mother convinces Anant. Mother, she convinces Anant, so let's go next time. This is not at all the last time he is going to play. When you will be better, we will take you to the concert. Who convinces here? Anant's mother convinces Anant, because Anant, he thinks this as the chance of his lifetime. What is the chance? Listening to the concert or going to the concert of Pandit Ravi Shankar, listening to him, this is considered here as the chance of a lifetime. So here mother convinces. Okay, till there we have stopped. Let us continue the next paragraph. Okay, look at the next paragraph. Smita stood at the window looking at the traffic. Her eyes filled with tears. Her mother whispered, "But you, Smita, you must go. Your father will take you." So Smita was feeling really very sad, because Smita and Anand, both they had a dream to attain the concert. Here she comes to know that Anand was unable to attend the concert, so that she stood near the window and she was crying. Her eyes filled with tears. Tears means kanneeru. She was crying, standing beside that window, looking at the traffic. She was looking at the traffic and her eyes filled with tears. Her mother went near her and she whispered. Whispered means she said very quietly. In a low voice she said to her, "But Smita, you must go. You can go. Your father will take you to the concert. Don't worry. You may go and your father will take you to the concert." When she was alone with Aunt Sushila, Smita cried out in a choked voice, "No, how can I? We have always done things together, Anant and I." See here. Smita was feeling really very bad, because Anant and Smita, they did all the work together and they dreamt to go to the concert together, so that when she was alone with Aunt Sushila, she is the aunt of Smita and Anant. When she was alone with Aunt Sushila, she said to her, she cried out. Observe the word, cried out there. See, in the previous class I have told you a verb with a preposition or an adverb. A verb with a preposition or an adverb, it will be called as a phrasal verb. What it is called? It is called as a phrasal verb. What we see in the verb along with the preposition or an adverb, it is called as phrasal verb. Many of the phrasal verbs you will get in this lesson. Okay. So he cried out. She cried out. Who cried out here? Smita cried out in a choked voice. Observe the word choked voice. Choked voice means a voice filled with the sadness, or you can take as sad voice. She was very sad and she said, "No, I can't go to the concert. How can I? Naan hege hogodakagutte? Because we have always done things together, Anant and I. I can't go to the concert because we did the things together. How can I go to the concert leaving my brother? Without my brother, how can I?" Who is telling here? Smita, she is telling to Aunt Sushila. "A walk in the park might make you feel better," said Aunt Sushila, and Smita was grateful for her suggestion. Observe the word grateful there. Grateful means thankful. So here Aunt Sushila suggested Smita, go make a walk in the park and that will make you to feel better. Go to the park and spare some time there and that will make you feel better. And Smita was really very thankful for her aunt's suggestion. She went to the park. In the park, people were walking, running, playing ball, doing yogic exercises, feeding the ducks, and eating roasted gram and peanuts. So she went to the park, and in the park people, what we see in the park, some people will jog, will run, will do some yogic exercises, some yogas, and some will play some sports there. In the same way, in that park also, Smita, she saw the people were busy in their own work. Some were walking, and some were running, some were playing ball, and some were doing yogic exercises, and some were feeding the ducks. Ducks means batukodi. So some were feeding the ducks and eating. Some were eating snacks like roasted gram and peanuts. Roasted gram, kadle, shenga, batani, right? So roasted gram and peanuts, they were eating their snacks. And Smita, no, she felt alone in their midst. Even though she is having a lot of people around her, Smita was feeling really very alone in their midst. Observe the word midst there. Midst means in between or in the middle. In the middle of those people, many people were there, but in the middle of that crowd also, Smita, she felt really very, very alone, because she was in her own thought. She was feeling really very bad. She had lost in her own thought, so that she felt very alone. Alone means obbanti, ekangiagi feel ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾಳೆ. ಯಾರು? Smita. Even in the middle of that crowd, she was lost in her thoughts. So who was lost here? Smita. She was lost in her own thoughts. Observe the word thoughts. Thought means yochane. Okay. Think, thought, thinking. So you know the verb forms. Verb means it is an action word. Verb, there are 4 verb forms: present, past participle, present participle. Think, thought. So here thought means yochane. Here we can consider it as a noun. Okay. Thought, yochane. So who was lost in her thought here? Smita was lost. So here thought is an example for noun, not at all here taken as a verb. Okay. Suddenly a daring thought came to her. As she hurried home, she said to herself, why not? There is no harm in trying it. So suddenly what happened? A daring thought. Observe the word daring there. Daring means very courageous. Dare means courage. Daring thought means a courageous thought. Daring means courageous. So a daring thought came to her in her mind. So she was in the park and she had got a daring thought and she hurried home. Hurried means she went home very fast. Hurry means very fast. She went to her home fast and she said to herself, why not? Why can't I do that? Nan yak maadbaardu. There is no harm in trying it. A daring thought came to her mind and she was telling herself, why not? Why can't I do that work? There is no harm. Enu kettadagala. If I do that work, there is no harm in trying that. So what? She will tell in the coming paragraphs. It would be nice to go to the concert. I don't know when we will get another opportunity to hear Pandit Ravi Shankar. She said to her mother later, and her father agreed to get the ticket. So finally she went to home very fast in a hurry and she said to her mother, she said herself, why can't I? There is no harm in trying that thing. And after that she said to her mother, it would be nice to go to the concert. Yes, I will go to the concert. I think it is very good for me to go to the concert and I don't know when I will get this precious opportunity again. So this chance again, so that I will go to the concert to hear Pandit Ravi Shankar. I do not want to miss this opportunity, she said to her mother. And finally her father, Smita's father, agreed to bring the ticket to that concert, tickets of that concert. Observe that paragraph there. There you will get 3 infinite verbs or infinitive we used to say. To go, to hear, to get. 3 words are used there. In all those words we will find to along with the present form of the verb. Observe those words. I repeat. To go, to hear, to get. In all these words, to get, to hear, and to go. So observe these three words. In all these three words you will get to along with the verb. Verb I have already told you. Verb means it is an action word. To get, to hear, to go. These are the examples for two infinitives, or we call it as infinite verb or verb infinitives. What we call it as? Two infinitives or verb infinitives or infinite verb, because in all these words we find to along with the present form of the verb. This is really very important for your exams, and in your question paper they will ask you to find the verb infinitive there. Then which will be the verb infinitive? A verb which will be in the present form along with the to. To and the present form of the verb will be considered as verb infinitive. So finally, what happened in the lesson here? So here Smita agreed to go to the concert and she said to her mother, and finally Smita's father, he agreed to get the tickets. Look at the next paragraph. The next day, as Smita and her father were leaving for the concert, her brother smiled and said, "Enjoy yourself." Though the words came out in painful gasps, "Lucky you." So observe the paragraph here. The very next day, Smita, she got ready along with her father. They both were leaving for the concert. They were going to the concert. They were leaving the home to go to the concert. At that time, her brother Anand smiled at Smita and he said, "Enjoy yourself. Enjoy, because you are very lucky, because you are going to the concert of Pandit Ravi Shankar. You are very lucky. Enjoy yourself." Even though the words, no, it came very painfully. Painful gasp. Gasp means I have told you a noisy breathing. Here painfully he is breathing and he is struggling to say that painfully with a lot of sadness. He is telling to his sister, "Enjoy yourself." Even though he said those words in a lot of pain, along with that he said, "Lucky you." Who is lucky here? Smita is considered as lucky because she is going to attend to that concert. No, here Ananta says, "You are so lucky, enjoy yourself." And he said all these words very painfully from the bottom of his heart. Have you understood? Sitting beside her father in the gallery, Smita heard as in a dream the thundering welcome the audience gave the great master. Observe the word thundering there. Thundering means, you know, gudugu, sidlu, right? So thunder means gudugu. Thundering here means to make a loud noise. A loud noise you can take. A loud welcome given by the audience to that great master. Smita was sitting beside her father in that gallery, and she was feeling like it is really a dream. She is attending that concert. She is feeling that it as a dream, and she felt that it as a dream. And the loud welcome, the thundering welcome means the loud welcome given by the audience to that great master. Who is the great master here? Pandit Ravi Shankar. Pandit Ravi Shankar entered that auditorium. At that time all the audience gave a loud welcome to that great master. Then the first notes came over the air, and Smita felt as if the gates of enchantment and wonder were opening. So here in the coming lines we come to know about Smita, how she is enjoying the concert. The concert, it begin, and the first notes, the very first notes, what we say in Kannada is raga. Okay, notes means raga. The first notes, it came over the air, and Smita, she is feeling like that near her the gates of enchantment and wonder were opening. Observe the word there, gates of enchantment. Enchantment, it is given in your glossary. A feeling of great pleasure. Okay, wonder means surprise, you know. For example, if we have a dream, if it fulfills means we feel like that the gates of enchantment will, it is opening near us. In Kannada we say, Swargada bagalu, Santosha, Swarga, Ascharya da bagalu, Teradaga ansta ide. Here, who is feeling like that? Smita, she is feeling like that the gates of enchantment and wonder, the great pleasure, happiness, surprise and wonder, all those things were, it came near her. The gates of all those things, it had opened near her. Spellbound, she listened to the unfolding ragas, the slow plaintive notes, the fast twinkling ones. But all the while, the plan she had decided on the evening before remained firmly in her mind. So what happened there? She was spellbound. Underline that word, spellbound. Spellbound means to be very attentive. We can take as to hold complete attention. Spellbound means to hold complete attention. In Kannada we say mantra mugdalade. Listening to that music, listening to those ragas, plaintive notes and unfolding ragas of Pandit Ravi Shankar, I felt spellbound. Spellbound means mantra mugdalade. I was very attentive. That concert, it had hold my complete attention. Okay, so spellbound. Who is spellbound here? Smita, she felt, she was spellbound. Mantra mugdaladadu. Okay, and she listened to the unfolding. Unfolding means open ragas and the slow plaintive notes. Underline that word, plaintive. Plaintive means sounding sad. So when we hear music, there will be a up and down, right? When you hear a music, there will be a up and down, just like what the intonation we can say. In the same way here, she is enjoying all the entire concert there. She is listening to the unfolding ragas and the slow plaintive ones, sounding the raga, the notes which sound sad, and the fast twinkling. Twinkling means shining ones. But all the while she is enjoying, she is listening to all these things, and all the while the plan what she had decided in that park on that fine evening, it remained firmly in her mind. Observe the word firmly there. Firmly means strongly. She is enjoying the concert. Along with that, the plan what she had done in that park on that fine evening, that completely remained firmly in her mind. She is remembering that plan. The chance of a lifetime. She heard Anand's voice in every beat of the tabla. So here, the chance of a lifetime, the entire line. She is hearing that sentence in every beat of tabla. She is feeling the voice of Anand. What he said, this is the chance of a lifetime. So means, what is the chance of a lifetime here? Listening to the music of Pandit Ravi Shankar, listening to the concert of Pandit Ravi Shankar, Anand feels like it as the chance of a lifetime. And here Smita, she is listening to that concert, and in each and every beat of tabla, Smita, she is listening the voice of Anand. What does it say? The chance of a lifetime. Okay. The concert came to an end and the audience gave the artist a standing ovation. So finally, the concert, it came to an end and all the audience were very happy. They stood and they clapped. They applauded that great musician, those great musicians. Who are the musicians here? Pandit Ravi Shankar and Ustad Allah Raka, the greatest musicians. And Ustad Allah Raka, he was an Indian musician, a tabla player who was a frequent accompanist of Pandit Ravi Shankar in each and every concert. Okay, so standing ovation, underline that word ovation, and it is given in your glossary. Enthusiastic clapping by the audience who stand up from their seats as a sign of their appreciation. All the audience, what did they do? They felt very happy with the concert and they enjoyed the entire concert, and they are giving the reward through their clap. They stood and they all gave the standing ovation to those great masters. A large mustached man made a long boring speech. So after that concert, after that, a large mustache. Observe the word there, mustached. Mustache means, you know, meese. A large mustached man, he gave a long boring speech. That speech was really very long and it is very boring. Then followed the presentation of bouquets, then more applause and the curtain came down. The people began to move towards the exit. So then followed, after that boring speech, many people went towards those great masters and they presented bouquets. Presentation of bouquets. Bouquet means a collection of flowers. Bouquet means, you know, you find a lot of flowers there. Many people they went towards those great masters and they presented bouquets. Then more applause. Applause means clapping. Applause means the people clapped there. They applauded those great musicians and finally the curtain came down. The people began to move towards the exit. So finally the curtain came down and all the people, they were moving towards their home, they were moving towards the exits. Observe the word came down there. Again there is an usage of phrasal verb. As I have already told you, phrasal verb means verb with a preposition or an adverb. Came down is an example for what? Phrasal verb. And one more word is used there, to move. To move towards the exits. To move is an example for infinite verb. Now was the time. Smita wriggled her way through the crowds towards the stage. Now, at last, the time came. Smita, what she had thought, now she has to do. She wriggled. Observe the word wriggled there. Wriggle means to twist the body like this. When there will be a crowd, if we want to move forward means what we do? We turn our body like this, we twist our body and we will move towards the towards our destiny, right? In the same way here, Smita wriggled. She bent her body and she made her way towards the stage, through the crowds towards the stage. Then she went up the steps that led to the wings, her heart beating loudly. So finally, she was moving towards the stage. She went up the steps and her heart started to beat loudly because she is going to make a daring thing now. She had a daring thought in her mind and she is going towards that stage, towards those great musicians to fulfill that daring thought, and her heart started to beat very loudly. In the wings, a small crowd had gathered to talk about the evening concert, to help carry bouquets and teacups and instruments. So in that group, in that wings, a small crowd has been gathered there and they are all talking about the evening concert, and some are helping to carry the bouquet. Some are transferring those things from there. Some are helping to carry the bouquets and some are carrying the teacups and the instruments. He was there, standing with the man who played the tabla for him, the great wizard of music, Ustad Allah Khan. Underline that word wizard and it will come to you as give one word for. Wizard means a person who is especially good at some art or achievement. It is given in your glossary. Underline that word wizard. Wizard means a person who is very good, who is especially good at some art or achievement, who is considered here as a great wizard, Ustad Allah Raka. So here he was there. Who was there? Pandit Ravi Shankar. He was there and he was standing with the man who played the tabla. Who played tabla there? Ustad Allah Raka. And he was the great wizard of music. Her knees felt weak, her tongue dry, but she went up and standing before them, her hands folded, "Oh sir," she burst out. So what happened here? She was moving towards Pandit Ravi Shankar and she went there. Her knees felt weak. Knee means what we can say, the Kalu. Okay, so her knees felt weak. She is feeling very scared. She is feeling very afraid and her tongue it dried. Nalge onukta ide and she is feeling very afraid, and finally she went up to the stage standing before them. Who stood before those great musicians here? Smita, she stood before those musicians and she folded her hands like this. She folded her hands folded, and she burst out saying, "Oh sir." So she is expressing every pain, her pain towards those great musicians. Observe the word burst out. Again, it is an example for phrasal verb. Burst out means to say with a strong feeling. To say with strong feeling. So her emotions. So she is telling everything near Pandit Ravi Shankar. Yes, he asked questioningly but kindly. So here Pandit Ravi Shankar, he said, "Yes, tell me, what is your problem?" He asked questioningly. He asked questioningly, and it had a kindness in his words. Okay. He asked questioningly along with kindness, karunayinda, anukampadinda, he is asking, "Tell me what happened." And her story came pouring out, the story of her brother who lay sick at home and of how he longed to hear him and the Ustad play. So her story poured out. Again, phrasal verb is used there. Pouring out. Pouring out means she said very freely. She opened, she told all the things very in a very free, in freely manner. Okay, so she said to him the story of her brother. Who is the brother here? Anand, who was on the bed, who lay sick at home, and how he longed. Observe the word longed there. Longed means desired. Who desired here? Anant desired to listen to the concert of Pandit Ravi Shankar, and here Smita, she is telling Pandit Ravi Shankar about her brother's story, about her disease, about his disease and about his desire. What is his desire? He longed to hear him and Ustad play. So she told entire story of her brother and her brother's sickness, about her brother's desire. "Little girl," said the mustached man who had made the long speech, "Panditji is a busy man. You must not bother him with such requests." Observe the word bother there. Bother means trouble. You should not trouble. Who said this? Large mustached man. Mustache means meese. A large mustached man who had given a long boring speech there, he screamed at Smita, "Little girl, you should not bother Panditji. Panditji, no, he is a busy man. You should not bother him with such requests. You should not say near him like that." But Pandit Ravi Shankar smiled and motioned him to be quiet. He turned to Ustad Sahib and said, "What shall we do, Ustad Sahib?" So here Pandit Ravi Shankar and Ustad Allah Raka, these two are not only the great musicians, but we can say them as really a very, very kind people, very great people. So even though they are in a very good position, what did they do is they are deciding to go to the home of Smita. So Pandit Ravi Shankar, what did he do? He smiled. He simply smiled and he motioned him. He motioned that a large mustached man. Motion means to make. Motioned means command with a hand or head. So who motioned here? Pandit Ravi Shankar, he made a command with his hand to that large mustached man. When he was telling Smita like that, he made him to be quiet. Quiet means silent. Who made here? Pandit Ravi Shankar motioned with his hand to that large mustached man to be very quiet. And he turned to Ustad Sahib and he said, "What shall we do, Ustad Sahib?" He asked the, opinion of Ustad Sahib. Pandit Ravi Shankar, he made that large mustached man to be silent When he was screaming at Smita, he made him to be quiet and he turned to Ustad Sahib and he asked his opinion. What shall we do, Ustad Sahib? The Ustad moved the wad of pan from one cheek to another. Tomorrow morning we perform for the boy. Yes, he said. So Ustad Sahib, what did he do? He moved the wad. He was chewing pan. Pan means okay. Wad of pan. Wad means lump. Like this, he moved that wad of pan from one cheek to another cheek and he said, tomorrow morning we perform for the boy. Yes, he said. So finally Ustad Sahib, he said, tomorrow morning let's go to his house and let's perform for that boy. Who said yes here? Ustad Sahib. Yes, Panditji replied, it's settled then. So finally Panditji also, he said yes and finally it is settled. What is settled here? Performing for Anand in his home, it is settled. Who said yes here? Both Pandit Ravi Shankar and Ustad Allah Raka. They responded to that little girl's request. This shows that how great they are, how kind, compassionate, sympathetic they are. Who are sympathetic, kind, merciful are here? Pandit Ravi Shankar and Ustad Allah Raka. So finally, Smita, she got what she wanted in that concert. She went to that concert making a daring idea, daring thought. I have to bring those musicians to our home. I have to fulfill my brother's wish. Making this daring idea, she went to that concert, leaving her brother. Finally, she succeeded in her task. Okay. It was a very excited Smita who came home late that night. Anant was awake, breathing the oxygen from the cylinder. So Smita, she felt very excited. She felt very happy to say to her brother and she went home a little late that night and Anant was not at all slept. He was waiting for his sister who went to the concert. He was waiting for Smita and he was awake. Awake means echaradalli idda, breathing the oxygen from the cylinder. So you already know that Anant was at the final stage of cancer and he was struggling to breathe and he was breathing the oxygen from the cylinder. Did you hear him? He whispered. So he was very curious and he whispered. Whispered means he said in a low voice, did you hear him? Did you hear the concert? Did you attend the concert? I did, she replied. And I spoke to him and he will come tomorrow morning with the tabla ustad and they will play for you. Yes, I heard. Yes, I heard. I did. And I spoke to him. Tomorrow morning he will come to our house with Ustad Allah Raka, with the tabla ustad. Tabla ustad means he was a well-known tabla player, so that here they have mentioned as tabla ustad and they will play for you in our home only. Who said this? Smita. And the following morning, Aunt Sushila's neighbors saw two men getting out of a taxi which pulled up outside their block. They could not believe their eyes. It is not possible, they said. So on the following morning, the very next morning, Aunt Sushila's neighbors saw two men. Who are the two men here? Pandit Ravi Shankar and Ustad Allah Raka, they came in a taxi, getting out of a taxi. Again there is a phrasal verb, getting out, pulled up. Observe that sentence, getting out, phrasal verb, getting out of a taxi which pulled up. Pulled up is also a phrasal verb. Pulled up outside their block. Observe the two words there. Pulled up their block. Pulled up means it stopped. What stopped? That a taxi, it stopped, it halted outside Aunt Sushila's apartment. Block. Block means, it is given in your glossary, a tall building that has flats. So this also will come to you as a give one word for. They will ask you in the question paper. A tall building that has flats. What you have to write? Block. Block means a tall building that has flats. So here what happened? Aunt Sushila's neighbors, they couldn't believe looking at that great musicians and their taxi, it stopped near outside their block and they got out from the taxi and those neighbors of Aunt Sushila, they couldn't believe looking at them. It is not at all possible, they said. It's impossible. impossible. What they are saying, they are feeling like that it is really impossible because they are the greatest musicians, right? Pandit Ravi Shankar and Ustad Allah Raka went up the wooden staircase and knocked softly on the door of Aunt Sushila's apartment. So these two great heroes, we can say, these two great people, they went up the wooden staircase. That staircase was made up with the wood, and they knocked, they gently touched the door of Aunt Sushila's apartment. They went in, sat down on the divan by the window and played for the boy. So they went in, they got inside that house, they got inside that Anand's house, and they sat on the divan. Divan means it's a furniture by the window, beside the window, and they started to play for the boy. What did they do? They went to the house of Aunt Sushila. They sat on the divan beside the window. They started to perform for the boy, surrounding him with a great and beautiful happiness as life went out of him gently, very gently. So what happened here? So Anand felt very, very, very happy, and he felt like that the happiness, the beautiful happiness, the great happiness, the beautiful happiness, it has surrounded him, and listening to that concert, his life, it went out of him gently, very gently. So finally what happened? The wish of Anand, it was fulfilled. Smita, she had fulfilled her brother's wish. So listening to that concert, Anand felt a great pleasure, great happiness, beautiful happiness surrounded him. Listening to that concert only, his life, it went away. His life, it went out of him gently, very gently, softly, very softly. Finally, he died. Who died here? Anand. He died listening to that concert. So the story, it had a tragic ending because Anand died at the end. So it is really a tragedy, being at that tender age. What is his age? He was 15-year-old. Even at that tender age, he suffered from that deadly disease. Finally, he lost his life. It is really a great tragedy. Okay. So last line, this is a true story, but all the names except Pandit Ravi Shankar's and Ustad Allah Raka's have been changed. So at last they have given you the note there. This is a real story which has happened actually in the real life, but all the names have been changed except Pandit Ravi Shankar and Ustad Allah Raka. Except these names, all the names were imaginary names. Okay, so this is what the lesson, and throughout the lesson you have come to know about Smita's love, concern, care towards her brother, about her dareness also, right? Along with that, we have come to know about the power of music, right? At last, we have to appreciate whom? We have to appreciate Pandit Ravi Shankar and Ustad Allah Raka. Being the famous musicians, being the great musicians, they have come to that Anand's house, they performed for the Anand, and they showed a real humanity. They proved that they are the real human beings. This is what the lesson. I hope you have understood. If you have any doubts, you can ask me using that comment box. Okay. Thank you. See you again.